Moin and welcome to another video. So, I'm pretty sure we all know and love Kamabo Co. You know, the company in the Octa expansion that runs the train infrastructure of the deep underground, kidnaps test subjects, forces them through immense pain, and blends them up into pieces. Yeah. I'm sure you all know. But what if I told you I had a theory that Kamabo Co could be so much bigger than only that? They could in fact be so big that they control the entire deep underground. So here are my theories for why Kamabo Co is probably a giant mega corporation that runs and manipulates the deep underground. Let's go. So, before we get into why Kamabo is probably a giant mega corporation, we first need to look into the deep sea metro a bit further, because we must find out first where the cities of the deep underground are located. Now, the first city is probably located at the main station, directly under Inkopolis. Okay, seems easy, just add a little city at every station, right? Wrong. Because if you investigate those stations, there's no city to be found anywhere. And there's not even a platform on the other side for normal citizens to get off. So we need to find another place. And if you look between the stations Agent 8 can get out of, there's plenty of space there. But if we say the cities are located between every station and each city is as big as Inkopolis, which I know we don't really know the size of Inkopolis, but we can say Inkopolis is pretty big, then they would cover a massive part of the underground. And when we then get the size of all the stations for test subjects in there, then the distance of the metro would get longer drastically. The reason for this is that at the stations you can't even see the end of the cave they're constructed in. So we can say that the underground is probably pretty large. But why is Kamabo Co so big? Well, let's find out. Now, let's get into the part where I'm like a conspiracy theorist trying to convince you of my theory, just like conspiracy theories would do in real life. Let's go. So, when you first play Octa expansion and you walk into the second area of the metro, you can see some machinery packed up in plastic. There's also some machinery that isn't packed up but destroyed right by the Kamabo Co logo. Now some might say, oh, this is just for sanitizing Octarians. But if you inspect those machines a little bit more, they kinda look like medical devices. And sure, there is this weird goo hanging out in the plastic bags, but creatures from the deep sea function a bit different than creatures from the surface. All we know is that they look a bit different, but what if the goo that's harming Octarians is actually helping those deep sea creatures? Then this could get a lot more interesting, because I do believe that those machines are constructed by Kamabo Co since their logo is nearby. I mean, it could also be because it's right next to the train track, but this track looks abandoned and this area is more like a storage room. The next thing I want to draw your attention to is the way Marina writes, this place must be deep beneath the surface. It seems to be under the influence of a powerful magnetic force. Too powerful for conventional models to simulate actually. Based on the numbers I'm seeing, powerful enough to distort space-time itself. This implies that someone, probably Kamabo Co, put up some magnetic field so that the overworld can't reach him. This is so Commander Tardar can work on his evil plans without interruption. But after the Great Turf War, the Octarians moved into the underground, just one layer above the deep underground. And instead of doing something against each other, they probably started trading. At least the leaders Tardar and Octavio did. The others probably didn't even know about this. This is most likely the reason why most test subjects and sanitized creatures were Octarians. Octavio probably traded them for something. Another hint to why they trade is that they have nearly identical tech. In the first game, in the rooms where you fight the great octo-weapons, you can also hear some screams and train sounds, which are probably from the deep sea metro and the test subjects being grinded up. Octavio probably didn't know about the whole blender thing and destroying the world, so he traded everything he had. Interesting. Another thing that hints at Kamabo being so big is that they produce their own music. The name of that fish was inspired by that mouse, and since Tardar was with the humans at some point, this seems like a name he would choose to manipulate the deep sea creatures to form some kind of human culture. Okay, so we have thought about Kamabo. Now I only have one question left. What does this mean for Splatoon 3's story? Okay, so this part might seem a little bit weird, and it's also kind of unlikely to happen in Splatoon 3. This is just speculation. But I'd say that Alterna could be one of the underground cities. It's probably not one due to the snow in there, and the whole thing with the rocket wouldn't really make sense underground. But if you investigate the background a bit more, you can see a dome-like structure. And I know this is probably not the reason the dome is in the background, but it could be some screens displaying the sky of the outer world, just like in the Octarian cities. So maybe Alterna is a city on the far left of the green or purple line? That could mean Tardar is a potential villain for the Splatoon 3 story. But wait, Tardar is dead. Or is he? Yeah, we really never saw him die. We just saw him upside down, shaking and talking something about the professor. But that doesn't mean he's dead. And even if he is, he probably was smart enough to make some doubles, so he's not really dead when he dies. And while some theories say that Mr. Grizz could be the villain, I don't know if that's really the case if Salmon Run returns. Some might say that Tardar and Mr. Grizz are the same AI because they say similar things in the English version, but since I've learned that's not the case for the Japanese version, is why I think this theory is wrong. And the fuzzy ink could just be a new way of sanitizing Octarians. But remember, this is all just speculation, and I think it's unlikely that Alterna is an underground city of the deep sea metro, or that Tardar returns as the main villain. But I guess we have to wait until September 9th to find out. And also, keep in mind, those are all just my theories. None of them were researched on the internet, and I made this up all by myself. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, consider leaving a like and maybe even subscribe, because I plan on playing Splatoon 3's multiplayer and story mode on this channel. So anyways, goodbye, and I hope to see you next time.